All right, sweet. We're live. Welcome into the Daily Wolves podcast, man. We are live here right now. We're coming post game. We already have viewers tuning in right now, shooting up, and a lot of frustrated Timberwolves fans are coming in. I appreciate all of you for joining, and this is kind of an emergency podcast. So hopefully you enjoy the show today. I got Matt. I got Maddy. I'm so glad to have him here. We see comments already coming in. Brutal is the first comment. Trade. Who are we trading? That's what we're seeing in our comments right now. I
Man,
don't blame you at all, but kind of the frustration is boiling over in Minnesota, and I can't blame any fan for feeling this way because I feel this way. Matt feels this way. Matty feels this way. We're all in the same boat. Before we get started on today's show, if you enjoy going to sports, games, going to Timberwolf games, going to concerts, man, we're hooking you up because we're partnered with SeatGeek. That's right. All you have to do is download SeatGeek app, put in the promo code the Daily Wolves, and you're gonna get $20 off your first order. That's it, man. Just put in our promo code the Daily Wolves on SeatGeek. You can download that on iOS, on Android devices, man. Shout out to SeatGeek for hooking us up. And let's kind of get into it, guys. Obviously tonight, disappointing. There's no other word we can put it. And there's been multiple players in today's game, which we're gonna get to, that were very, very disappointing for the Minnesota Timberwolves. Matt, I'm going to toss it to you. I can feel the frustration. Dude, I can see it coming out of your hat. I swear to God, man. You were look
dude,
like I just
you
feel it.
you don't even understand,
Let's
bro.
hear it.
Like
Lay it on us. Lay it on us.
dude, I'm a level-headed person. I can keep
Yeah.
my composure. I think I'm good at keeping like my language under control, but I apologize for what you guys are about to hear.
Don't
Dude.
apologize, man. Let it
Julius
go.
Randle needs to fucking go, bro. Like I'm just sick of it. I'm so sick of the bullshit hero ball. They get the ball, the swipe through, the fucking double clutch animation, bro. Just go up straight with the ball. He gets ripped all the time. There's no flow. There's no movement with the team. And like you see it boil over. You see it like with Anthony Edwards. You see it with Jaden. You see it with everybody, bro. With Rudy. We've seen it time in and time out this year. So it's just like at what point, like, what are we waiting for? Like with this whole Julius Randle thing. And I understand, yes, we were waiting for Ju to kind of, I guess, pop off in a sense. But at this point, our season is ticking and every game matters at the end of December. That is where we are at with these things. So it's just kind of like Conley backed us into a wall, it seems like. And it's just, fuck, man. I don't even know. I'm just so frustrated with the team. I'm frustrated with Chris Finch. It seems like he can't orchestrate lineups to bring out our best in players. He can't seem to ride the hot hand. He's too political. So there's just changes need to be made.
Do you feel like, Maddie, the starting lineup needs to be changed now that we've seen this many sample size of games? Are we at the point where the starting lineup needs to change?
Yes, the starting lineup should have changed like 10 games ago. Night after night, we just see exactly why lineup needs to change. I think Nas should be in the starting lineup. He had a phenomenal game tonight, and he's honestly just a better player than Julius Randle. The more minutes he plays, the better he's going to get as well. So if we would just get consistent minutes, then he can start cooking. And instead, we're putting Randle in there to just turn over the ball constantly. So that's just dumb. I think Na potentially could make his way into the starting lineup as well. He, last time I checked, was averaging the highest plus minus on our team and continues to play well every single game. He's our most consistent player this season. I don't know how he would work into the starting lineup. I feel like he kind of works well as like a bench player, but he's another one that's up there, I think. And I mean, Julius just needs to get out of the lineup. I don't think we're going to trade him because Finch is in love with him, but like he needs to get out of the lineup.
It's mind-boggling to see what the Timberwolves are doing. It's crazy to think. I put it out the other day, which I'm sure you guys saw it. I'm sure a lot of people following us saw it. Why is Julius Randle's leash so long? Why does he get a longer leash than most of the guys on the team? I do not get it. Can you imagine if Rob Dillingham were to get that leash? Because Rob Dillingham's leash isn't even a leash. This man gets no time if he makes one mistake. If he looks at somebody wrong, Chris Finch is like, nope, you're out. Too bad. I don't get it. It's not just that, but it's just so many different things. Starting lineup. Why is Nasri not playing like you said, Maddie? That doesn't make sense. Finch, going back to you, Matt. Finch is having his worst coaching season in his career. I feel like so far for the Timberwolves this year. Not sure what's going on. I feel like there's so much pressure from the higher ups that we aren't talking about.
Yeah.
I want to bring it up because the conspiracy theory, it's there. It's there for this team. The ownership might be covering up. They might tell the media, they might tell you that the Minnesota Timberwolves, they make the trade because, and they try to cover it up that we were going to pay the luxury tax. We were willing to pay the $15 million fines. We were willing to go into the second apron. I'm not really sure right now if I trust the higher ups, the ownership, which is the first time I'm going to say it. I feel like Tim Conley's track record over 10, 12 years has been great. He's made phenomenal trades. He built the Denver Nuggets. He built the Minnesota Timberwolves. And his trade and his track record is amazing. Why would Tim Conley, 2 days before the season kicks off, going into training camp, why would you make that trade? It seems weird. It doesn't seem like Tim's track record. I don't know if anyone else has picked up on this or if anyone's feeling this conspiracy theory.
Yeah, no, I know what you're saying.
That he's feeling pressure. He felt the pressure. That at the end of the day, this was a business decision for money. This was a business decision to get rid of Karl-Anthony Towns. Tim got the pressure. He made the trade. It is what it is, but it's all a business decision at the end of the day to not pay that second apron. I'm not sure if I'm wrong on that. I'm not sure if anyone watching feels that way. But the comments are just pouring in, man. This is crazy. Matt, what other frustrated you in tonight's game?
All right. So there's this one comment right here from Milkman. Julius played better than Ant today. If they don't want to trade him, mix it up in the rotation and start Nas. He would fit better with the second rotation, which I agree with. Milkman, you're in your bag. And I agree. That is something that has been very brushed over on social media, from Wolves fans, from coaches, from players. The play of Anthony Edwards over the last 3 games, because Anthony Edwards has shot 2-er-dates the last 3 games. 7 for 20 tonight on 16 points, -23 in the box score. Last game versus the Warriors, 6 for 20, -1 in the box score, shooting 30%. The game prior against the Knicks, sure, he didn't shoot as poorly, but he didn't look locked in. There is something going on with Anthony Edwards, and part of me almost thinks maybe we, how do I say this without it coming off wrong? But maybe we put a little bit too much faith in Anthony Edwards being the leader of our team, because at the end of the day, he's 23 years old. Like, he's still really young, and to just put the entire franchise on your shoulders, it's too much to ask for. Like, Anthony Edwards is a very, very emotional player in the media and on the court. And I continue to see the frustration boil and boil and boil. And I think it affects his play. I think it affects his teammates' play too. I don't know if that's ever been something that you guys have thought about, or anybody listening, but I think that Anthony Edwards' body language and how he handles himself is a very underrated part of why we are in the situation we are now. And there was also another tweet on Twitter, just while I got the mic, that I want to talk about real quick. This is from What's on Tap NBA from Wilder Adams. Here's an indictment on the team's culture and coaching. Even if the players don't believe in the offense, they don't believe in the coaching staff either. So there's just so much going on in Minnesota that coaches aren't on the same page. Players aren't on the same page. Obviously, the fans, people who cover the Wolves, we're all just as confused. So I think it's very apparent that whether it is a coaching change or lineup changes or players need to be moved, something needs to be moved, because we are now 30 games into this season and stuff is only trekking downhill.
It's mind-blowing, man. It's crazy. It's frustrating. It's everything you just named. Anthony Edwards, he's been all over the place. He started the season off super hot. One of the best three-pointers in the NBA. He's still shooting pretty good from, the three-point line. He's still one of the leaders in three-point shots. But he was so hot to start the season, and all of a sudden it's cooled off. And he looks frustrated. The other day, he came out after in his post-game comments, we all saw it, comes out and says it's the reffing. Like, this man is so frustrated now. It's all about the refs, even though it wasn't all the reffing in that game. Yeah. It's a lot of different things, and you're the leader of this team. You're supposed to be that franchise player. We need you to take the reins. And I really think he's really frustrated, man, with Julius Randle. He's frustrated with the roster. He came out and said, I don't want to say, a couple games ago, I don't want to say what the problem is because they're not going to like that. That to me sounds like it's a team problem of he didn't want Carl, his brother, to get traded. He didn't want this team to get shaken up. He doesn't like how it's constructed, and Anthony Edwards just can't say it. But there's just so much going on in the locker room. Maddy, how do you feel about that theory?
Yeah, it's pretty crazy the fall off that Ant has had. And I think like he's fallen off so much that now he's just stuck in his head and like he needs to have multiple good games in a row to like get, out of his head. But it feels like he's missing people around him to help with that. Like you guys both said, like it seems like all of this is on him to just like fix the team. Like I think he's the one who led that players only meeting. And like he's the one that's speaking to the media after every single game and like usually giving pretty good insight, which he doesn't need to be doing, but he's the only one doing it.
Yeah.
He's the only one opening up about anything going on, even if he's not saying all of it. And like, I think the other players need to rally around him, and it doesn't seem like they're doing that. And it's weird because the chemistry we had the best chemistry in the NBA on our team last season, like easily.
Yeah.
And now like we can't. There's no chemistry. So like I get that Cat was a big part of that, but it's still weird to me that like trading one player and changed our chemistry that much. So I don't know. It's interesting to think about like what's going on inside, and I think everybody's probably just really frustrated, and I guess nobody wants to work it out. I don't know. It seems like a disaster.
What have you seen, Maddy, out of Julius Randle? I know a lot of people watching right now would love to get into this player. I've been tweeting about him. We've been posting about him. We just can't hold it. We can't sit back and just only preach great things anymore when a player needs to be criticized. And I just feel like Julius Randle might not fit this well with this team. Julius Randle, since coming in, how do you feel about his game, Maddy? What has stuck out to you about his game?
I think he has potential. Like, I mean, we know he's a good player. He's been in the league forever, and he's had a couple games for us where he's scored like 20 plus points, which is what we need all the time. But like, he turns over the ball nonstop. He plays solely by himself. Like when he's out there and he has the ball, it looks like he's a one-man team. It doesn't look like he has any idea where anybody else is on the court, what anybody else has in mind. Like it looks like he's just disconnected from everybody, no matter what the lineup on the court is. So putting him in the starting lineup, like it doesn't work ever. And we don't start doing well until we put in our bench players. But then Finch continues to put Randle in the game like every single time. He just like, I don't know. I don't think it's going to work with our team. And we're this far in and he's still looking this messy, like game after game after game. I just don't think he's going to fit into our system. And I mean, I can't see us trading him, but that's what I would like to happen because it's not going to work out.
I think before I'm going to put Matt on the spot here, but before I get you in, Matt, I think Julius Randle is going to get moved to the trade deadline. I think as much as it sucks to watch Minnesota losing, like a game like tonight, you're closer by losing this game to Julius Randle getting moved. Every time they lose right now, the percentage is leaping up of Julius Randle getting moved. I get it. Chris Finch has connections to him from back in New Orleans. He loves Julius Randle, but he needs to get off his high horse and realize this man is hurting the team. He needs to punish him when he's not playing well like you normally would do. You can't just keep letting it go because, again, I put it out the other day. That would piss everybody off in the team. It probably does. It pisses everyone off. You're watching a guy that's your coworker come in, do all this bullshit, and he gets away with it. And you don't get away with it. And all these guys work their ass off, and they don't get away with it. Josh Minot and Rob can't get minutes, and they're trying. They are all getting mad. Ant's pissed, too. Ant's a young player. Why is this man ball hogging and taking my shots? This is my team. I'm the Minnesota Timberwolves. Carl was willing to take a back seat. Carl's willing to be a compliment to Ant. Julius Randle has come in, and all he's done has been selfish so far. He can change. He's been a good player in the past, and he has the talent upside on paper, but he's in his contract year. I put it out there. He looks like he's a guy who cares about getting that next contract. He knows statistically if you put up, let's say, 20 points and 6 rebounds, you can argue that when you're with your agent this offseason, whether it's with the Timberwolves or he walks, you can get that last contract for your family, for yourself, because you're a 31-year-old, 30-year-old guy aging. You have one contract left, realistically, that you can get a big contract. This man is out here to get statistics for himself. He's out here to fish for that contract. He looks like D'Angelo Russell in the
Literally. Oh my gosh, that's what I
And
was gonna say. Holy shit.
And I am spinning on the fact that Julius Randle is a one-man team for Julius Randle.
Absolutely, he is. And I don't know. I just think it's pretty safe to say that any team that has Julius Randle on their team is not a contender for the reasons that you just listed. It looks like he plays for himself. He doesn't want to be part of a team. The second that he has to step up and do something that is more than asked of him, just in the slightest amount, he's kind of like, I'll half-ass it. Yep. So I feel like that's just where like all the freaking frustration comes from and stuff. So it's like I just don't fathom, like, even like I'm just trying to put this into, like, I guess a perspective for like me personally to understand this. Cause like, I see what you're saying with like the Finch and the Julius Randle thing. Like, I'm trying to put this into like perspective with like, even like my friendships, you know, it's like, it's literally the same shit. Like, I can't fathom. I'm thinking. It just doesn't make sense why Julius has as long of a leash as he does. And I know I sound like a broken record, but we're only hurting our team. It's not only hurting Julius Randle, it's hurting Anthony Edwards. This is hurting Naz Reid. Like, I don't know if you guys saw, but last game, who do we play? The Warriors, I want to say, at home. Yeah, and we had Julius Randle in at the end of the game when Naz Reid was playing fantastic. If I'm Naz Reid and I can go start for 25 other teams in the NBA, why would I want to come back and re-sign with the Timberwolves for them not to put trust in me, for them to put a guy in who is clearly about himself and not for the team? Why would I want to re-sign here? I'll go get freaking $40 million somewhere else. I'll go start. I'll go get a bag and put up career numbers, and I'll give you guys the bird and made you guys wish you re-signed me. So, yeah, it's just, I don't know.
Well, and the thing is, too, along with that is you're, like you said, so at the end of the day, you're making your other players mad. You're making other players doubt ownership. They're doubting the coaching, everything like that. By the way, shout out to everyone who's joining our stream. We're about 900 people live right now at this time of the night in Minnesota on a Monday night. That is how frustrated the Minnesota Timberwolves fan base is when you have this many people joining live. So shout out to all of you guys tuning in here. But it's got to be just degrading for, you know, another guy like Rob Dillingham. And I know people have said it. Why is, you know, Rob's not ready, or Rob, when he comes in, he doesn't do everything. How is he supposed to? He doesn't get playing time because of all this stuff that's been going on, because of the way Finch has handled the rotations, because we're choosing to do what we do. We're not giving a man you drafted 8th overall in the draft a chance. His confidence is shattered. This man was drafted, was told, was said by the GM in the press conference, we're going to play him, to the media, to everybody. Rob hears that stuff. I'm going to be the primary backup. They traded up to get me. And then the Timberwolves back out in it. They make the trade, and then they just completely just don't play him. He doesn't get any playing time. When he gets to play, it's 3 minutes, 2 minutes a shift. He doesn't get no rhythm. They pull him if he makes any mistake, makes one lapse, misses a shot, maybe messes up on defense. They get him out of the game. Just like that, Rob in his head is so worried about making mistakes. How could you succeed? How could you if you were an employee going into your job every day feeling like you're walking on eggshells? That is how Rob Dillingham feels. That is how Josh probably feels. That is how these men feel on the Timberwolves team. You're creating this environment that's weird, that's political, that is so political, it's insane. And they all see it, and it's rubbing all the guys wrong. Why did Rudy Gobert and Julius Randle get into it in a fight in a live game? Because of all these things, because of the way that Randle handles himself, because he doesn't try in the defensive end, which Rudy Gobert hates. I cannot stand watching Julius Randle trying to play defense. It is actually pissing me off. Everyone's probably pissed on the team. Why does he get to do this and we don't get to do this? Maddy, what do you think of that? Because it just gets me, man.
Yeah, I think, honestly, Randle's probably causing a lot of the problems that are happening in the locker room, because all the players who aren't getting to play that are better than him are probably frustrated. The effort just never changes game after game. And I just don't understand what Finch is doing this year at all. I feel like he coached the team really well last year. Yeah. And now he's not even coaching. I can't fathom why he is not rewarding players who play well, but is just letting us lose game after game. Like you mentioned, he doesn't put Naz in at the end of the game, even though Naz is one of our most reliable scorers game after game. That doesn't make any sense to me. What are you doing putting him on the bench if you know he's going to score? And same with Rob. Like you put Rob in and he plays great games. He like gets in for like 8 minutes or something, but looks really good. And then we just take him out and don't reward him for that. So I like cannot understand what Finch is thinking or why he's doing any of the things he's doing. And like if he keeps doing this, he needs to go because it's not, I don't know. I don't get it at all.
Yeah. Something that I want to touch on real quick, just because I saw that comment down there, free Josh Minot, as funny as it was. On the topic of Josh Minot, I think that through all the rough patches that we are going through, let's talk about some positivity here. Josh Minot tonight looked wonderful, I thought. Sure, maybe the stats weren't there and everything, but when Josh was on the floor, that's when we were going on our little runs and our little spurts. And I don't even want to get my hopes up to say, hey, did we maybe figure something out? Because we know we're going to play fucking Julius Randle. So like, it's not like it matters.
Yeah.
But I thought that was pretty cool to see Josh come into his own a little bit. He looked a step ahead. He looked really ready from the second he checked into the game to the second he checked out. So I thought that was super awesome to see Josh playing well. Just a few more positives, I guess, while we're on the topic of it to lighten the mood a little bit. Nickeil Alexander-Walker, he has been amazing all season. Nickeil was the only reason that I feel like it wasn't a first half blowout. He single-handedly kept, and Nas, both of them kept us in the game in the second quarter. And yeah, I feel like it's great to see Nas finally break out of his shooting slump. He had arguably a rough month, as a matter of fact. So I think that just seeing his last game against the Warriors and then seeing him come out tonight, you see the confidence, you see everything that we saw in Naz Reid last year. And I feel like we weren't seeing that. Like he just looked hesitant in prior games and stuff. So I think it's great to see Naz back. And no, I'm not going to entertain it. I was going to say that maybe we were waiting for Naz to, start turn it up a little bit before we switch him and Randall, but I'm not even going to entertain it. But yeah, those are just some positives that I just wanted to cover real quick.
Boom. Let's dive into it right now because I see this comment coming in. Who could we get for Julius Randle? Because I think the Minnesota Timberwolves are going to go out. They're going to trade this man at the deadline. I put it at a 70% clip right now. That's how I feel personally. It's my opinion. But I think he's done enough to show that he's not part of it. And I think the franchise knows it. I think there are talks in the background. And there are a couple different players the Minnesota Timberwolves could go after. They could dip their toes in the sand. That might make sense for both teams. Remember, when you go out and you trade a player, you're looking for matching salaries. You're looking for a young player you can trade going out in the deal. The Minnesota Timberwolves have a young player who they seem like they don't really care about. A guy who was selected number 8 overall in the NBA draft. A man who they look past over and over and over because he's not ready no matter what. A young player who has an upside, perfect. They have that, and they have certain things to dangle as well. So the Minnesota Timberwolves have something to offer for a player. And let's kind of dangle some things out there right now. The first player I'm going to dangle for people watching. Now, there's no leaks on this. There's nothing we have heard lately. But how about a guy who's out of Sacramento, who's struggling right now on a team? Their team is struggling. And he might want to change in scenery. I don't know if they would trade him because we're in the same conference. But a guy who's a point guard who would pair really good with Anthony Edwards, who's one of the best in the clutch. We're talking about De'Aaron Fox, man. How do we feel about D Fox if you were to come to Minnesota, Maddy?
I would like Fox.
Yeah.
I think the number one thing that we need is like somebody who's going to score points consistently every night. And I think that De'Aaron Fox would do that. Like Ant used to be that for us, but honestly, we can't even rely on him anymore. So like we need stat, someone who can score consistent points every single night, because without that, like we're never going to win. And that's one of our huge problems right now. So I think that I'll take anyone who can score points night after night. He's also just a great playmaker. He's assists. He's really good in the clutch, like you said, and we end up in a lot of clutch games. So I would be happy with him.
It doesn't. I see this comment right now from Sean. It kind of doesn't make sense from that aspect. But if you're looking at Julius Randle, when people make a trade for a player of that stature in the NBA, The other team is basically getting Julius Randle as a match and a salary. They're looking for an expiring contract, an expiring deal, and that's what Julius Randle is after this year. That's why that could be an attractive thing if you're the Kings. Is you're not trying to get Julius Randle, you're trying to match the salary. You're trying to get him off your books potentially, and you're trying to get a young player with an upside like Rob Dillingham. You're trying to get picks or whatever else Minnesota can throw in. Maybe Sacramento says, "Hey, we want sweeteners. Hey, we want Terrence Shannon Jr., a young player with an upside." Maybe we want a Leonard Miller. Maybe we want a Josh Minot sweetener. Who knows? But those are things Minnesota has. They have these youth players that have the upside to get the deal done. And if you're trading out your point guard, that is your current point guard, right? You would maybe want to bring in another point guard with an upside who's young, who you can rebuild around. That could be a Rob Dillingham. I'm just saying, the match with Sacramento, it's not as bad as people think, if you think about it, Matt.
Yeah, I agree with you full-heartedly. I love De'Aaron Fox, man. I love my quick playmaking guards. Like, I just feel like there's like, it's almost just like it's like you're watching something different when you're watching a fast guard who's super fluent with the ball. Like, it's such a joy to watch. So that in and of itself clears Julius Randle, which I'm okay with. Anything to watch, I guess, normal basketball would be awesome. But yeah, I think Foxy would fit super well. We saw exactly what De'Aaron Fox did to us. He put up a franchise high against the Timberwolves, scoring 60 points, and it was efficient. De'Aaron Fox gets to his spots, and De'Aaron Fox gets buckets. So I think that this would be a great fit. I think that you could probably ship off a Julius Randle, a Rob Dillingham, some other younger guy in our rotation. I don't know who. I don't want to really entertain it. I don't want to think about it and sound like an idiot. Yeah. But yeah, send that over and some picks. And I think maybe we could get to talking for the Sacramento Kings. And we're on the topic of trades and stuff. There's another name that I'm going to put out there that I want to hear from both of you. What you guys think? Obviously, Fox, right there. You see that comment right there? I like DeJounte Murray. Exactly what I was getting at. Way to go, Nicole. But DeJounte Murray, that is another name that is very interesting. I'm not as high on a DeJounte Murray as I am a De'Aaron Fox. DeJounte definitely struggles a little bit more. He's more of an inconsistent scorer, but he does it all. He scores, he plays amazing defense, he passes the ball, and he rebounds with the best guards in the NBA.
Yeah.
And the only thing that would kind of tilt my head a little bit about DeJounte Murray is the injuries. He had a 6-week injury earlier in the season. I believe it was the first game of the year. I know he's had a few things here in the past. And then the third thing is Julius Randle is a ball dominant player, right? And I think that Wolves fans around the world are kind of frustrated with that. And then if you add in DeJounte Murray, the unfortunate part is it's another very ball dominant guard. We saw how we played with Trae Young, who is the best playmaker in the league and has been for probably the last 3 to 4 years. He struggled with Trae Young. So I feel like that might be the only telltale here about why we wouldn't go get a DeJounte Murray. But that is another name that I feel like is definitely a realistic target that we could be talking about in these next couple weeks.
DeJounte Murray is one of the guys that the Timberwolves are going to be linked to. They're just going to get tied to it somehow in a rumor. Whether it happens or not, they're going to get tied into it. And then, because New Orleans is a disaster, so New Orleans is going to be tied into multiple things. You're going to hear Brandon Ingram. You're going to hear Zion Williamson. You're going to hear DeJounte Murray. And I don't think the Timberwolves go after like a guy like Zion. Definitely not. So take that one out of it. But Brandon Ingram, that's another guy besides DeJounte Murray the Timberwolves could go after if they feel like Brandon Ingram could be the answer. If they feel like it's worth the swing, it's an upgrade to Julius Randle. I don't know if that's the answer because Brandon Ingram's been so inconsistent over the last few years. He has injury history. But if you're willing to take a massive gamble as an ownership group, as a coach, maybe Ingram is a guy that they're linked to. I don't think that that's what happens. I think realistically what happens for Julius Randle is the Minnesota Timberwolves go out and they get 2 serviceable players, kind of like what Dallas did the last year when they got Derrick Jones Jr., PJ Washington and Daniel Gafford in trade. Something like that where you're getting 2 serviceable players to come in, kind of fill in, and go out, and that's kind of what Julius Randle's going to field. I don't think he's going to get that superstar, game-changing kind of stuff, but he's going to get something kind of like around there. I don't know how you guys feel about that. Matt, what's your opinion on that?
I'm gonna be honest, bro. You took all the words out of my mouth. We can just pass this right on over
Yeah,
to Maddy. You covered everything I would have said.
let's go. How do you
Yeah,
feel?
I think that's more likely also. Like I mean, the every game that he plays, like he just is looking worse and worse to every team, even like the worst teams in the league at this point. Like what he's just showing all bad quality. So I think it's more likely that we'll get like two more like mid players
Yeah,
rather than like one star, which I'm totally fine with because I think even two I think any other two people would be better than Randall at this point. Like just the way that he's not working in with the lineup, like nothing is gelling. We just need something fresh. I don't know who that would be though, but like I don't think we're gonna be able to get a star out of him, unfortunately.
no, and sometimes it's finding those players that it's not necessarily a star, but it's a player, players that will complement your star, complement your player. Guys who will come in and buy into the system, who will come in and be unselfish, guys who will come in, play defense, go and play offense. They might not be the best offensive player. They might just be a 3-point shooter, but they're going to come in and hustle. They're going to buy into the culture. They're going to buy into the plan that Anthony Edwards is the leader, that he's the main player. Everything has been built around Anthony Edwards, and that's the thing, that they're a team, that they're connected. And right now, Julius Randle is the opposite. He is not connected at all with the team. He's in his own world. It's just him when he's on the court, I feel like. Sometimes he puts up stats, but they're just empty stats at the end of the day. And you need a player who's going to come in and complement the guys. And again, remember, it's a culture setting thing. We saw last year with the vibes, with the pointing on the bench. Everybody was having fun. Everyone was connected. Everyone was a team, whether they were filling Gatorades up or they were playing in the game. And this year, it doesn't seem that way. The guys, you can feel through the screen on your TV that the guys do not enjoy playing together. You can tell it's clunky. You're asking, I put the other tweet out the other day. You're asking guys like Dante DiVincenzo. You're asking Nikhil Alexander Walker to come in and be point guards when they're truly not. Hold the ball, make plays, bring it up the court. You're having Julius Randle, for God's sakes, bring the ball up a bunch of times and basically be a point forward. When this man is out here turning the ball over 2 times in the first minute of the game, like tonight, what are we doing here? And it's just ridiculous. You're forcing everyone into playing their opposite roles. Naz Reid's been forced to play a center. He's been weird. He's adjusted because Naz Reid's just that type of guy, but it's been really tough. Dante DiVincenzo and Nikhil are best just playing off the ball. Their best is just shooters. Hustle, play defense, shoot threes. They feel awkward. The whole thing's just been awkward, man. And when you struggle, you need all these positions. When you need like a point guard, you need a ball handler. Again, we keep saying it. Why not play Rob Dillingham? What is your problem? Get him minutes. I don't care about his defense. Every time he comes in, he's been at least tries on both ends of the floor. He's electric a lot of the times, even if sometimes he does struggle. I don't understand it. And if you're developing him for the future, you're stunting his growth, you're ruining his confidence. I do not get it. I just don't get it with Rob. The whole thing with Julius is clunky. It's right now, it's just all over the place in Minnesota, man. I feel like we've been absolutely cooking on here. And shout out
Oh
again
yeah.
to everyone who's
Oh
coming.
yeah.
We're at 1,300 people are in
Wow.
the right now watching. It is going. Minnesota is feeling some type of way about the Minnesota Timberwolves, man. Thanks for everyone for joining, by the way.
Yeah, just on that Rob Dillingham topic real
Yeah.
quick, something that I just wanted to point out. I don't know if you other Wolves fans have noticed this, but anytime that Rob Dillingham has gotten in, it's been with a weird lineup. He's been put in with Mike Conley. And who have been the pieces around him? Jada McDaniels, Rudy Gobert, and I don't even know, like Dante DiVincenzo. Okay, like somebody else. Either way, my point is he is not in the game with Anthony Edwards or Julius Randle. And I think that if you are the Wolves, just to kind of, we have to deal with bleeding out with Julius Randle. You have to put you with the second guys because Dante's shot's not falling. Nikhil plays well, sure, but Naz Reid was struggling. Like you put Julius in that situation and just let him go to work. I feel like that changes a lot of the dynamic, And with Rob Dillingham, like I was saying, you put him in situations to fail. You're not putting him in situations to succeed. And it's the same thing with Dante DiVincenzo too. Like you covered it, Evan. You were saying we're making Dante bring the ball up the floor. We're making him be we're making Dante DiVincenzo be a point guard. When in reality, Dante DiVincenzo is a 3-and-D player. He is a catch and shoot. And off that, he is elite. There is no reason you go from making the 14th most threes in NBA history to shooting below a 35% clip and looking abysmal on the offensive side of the ball. And I think the same thing applies with Rob Dillingham. Now, granted, I know he's a rookie and I know like he's a small guard. Things are going to be shaky. It's going to be rough. But the 2 games that we saw Rob play with the starters were the Boston game and the Houston game. In the Houston game, Rob was a plus 26, and I don't think anybody else was like a plus 9 in that game or something like that. And the same thing with Boston. Sure, Rob looked shaky and whatnot. He's a rookie. It's going to happen. He's a small guard. That's what's going to happen in the NBA. But the point is, Rob Dillingham looked like he belonged. He looked like he fit with the team. He brought a different kind of spunk that Mike Conley cannot bring anymore. Mike Conley, that's something else I could talk about for hours, but Mike Conley has clearly lost a step. Mike's floaters aren't dropping. Mike's jumpers aren't dropping. Mike's defense, he's a smart defender. He just doesn't have the quickness that he used to. So, I mean, smarts, I feel like to a degree can only get you so far if you can't produce what's ever going on up here. So it just, at some point, and I know we get a lot of question marks from fans and stuff. Just why do you guys talk about rookies so much? Why do you guys talk about Rob Dillingham so much? Because we see the potential that Rob has in this league and on this team. And right now, our offense is a massive struggle. And we drafted a guard to, get shots up and create his own shot, which was clearly made. Tim Conley made very clear in his press conference, the same one that you were talking about, where he was like, yes, Rob is going to play. Rob is going to be integrated into this team, and he will be an important part of this team. I just feel like I've been lied to, like all around. Like it's frustrating. It's really, really frustrating. And the more and more I talk about this, part of me almost would like to see us fire Finch, run the Julius Randle thing with Mike Nori for a couple weeks, make a decision from there. Because I feel like Mike Nori would have a different outlook or some other interim head coach than what Finch is doing.
Oof, this is getting wild. We're on the Finch fire train, man. It's crazy digesting all this. It's getting spicy. Obviously, the frustrations are high. Emotions are crazy. People are in the chat commenting as well. And kind of before we wrap it up on a couple last things here, while we have over 1,300 of you in here, man, we hope you appreciate our content here at the Daily Wolves, and we're here to tell you that we're actually partnering with a local brewery, Head Flyer Brewing in downtown Minneapolis. That's right, you can go to Head Flyer Brewing. January 11th, we're announcing it. January 11th is going to be the first time that we are there. The Daily Wolves team will be there. We're going to do a live show. Matt and I will be there. Maddy will probably come too. And on top of that, we're going to be watching the Minnesota Timberwolves right alongside of you with special deals. They got food. They got a food truck from a pizza place that's phenomenal. They have tons of beers. They even have a wicked jump shot Timberwolves themed beer. And we're going to be giving away items to fans that are attending Head Flyer Brewing when we go to Minneapolis to start doing watch parties. We're trying to give you guys a place to come as Timberwolves fans for the best experience. We might even give out a pair of AE1s, an unreleased pair that hasn't hit the market yet, to some lucky winner who's going on January 11th in person to Head Flyer Brewing. So definitely check them out. Mark it on your calendar. We will be there. It's a weekend game. You have no excuse. Come grab a beer, hang out with your friends at Head Flyer Brewing. Ask me, ask Matt any questions, and just come hang out as Timberwolves fans. Before we wrap things up, Matt, anything you got to add real quick? Anything on your mind that you want to rapid fire off?
I think I covered it all. I think everybody got the point.
Yeah, we got some good stuff out there.
We got it. I feel like we unleashed what a lot of people want to unleash. I feel like we vented what the media won't tell you. We're not hired by the Timberwolves over here at the Daily Wolves. We're going to try to give you an authentic take. Sometimes we're wrong, but we're just like you, man. We're frustrated. We want the team to be successful, and we demand greatness. So that's what we're going to continue to do. Before we wrap things up, last thing, we are partnered with Better. That's right, BETR on. So all you have to do is go search Better on your application store, and you can start sports betting legally today in Minnesota. It's legal in 31 states, man. It's like Prize Picks. It's like Underdog. It's easy to sports bet. And if you put on our promo code TheDailySPN, all one word, TheDailySPN, you're going to get a $200 deposit match right away just for signing up with our promo code. So if you want a sports bet, If you love doing that, man, definitely go check out Better.
Nobody
That's right.
says no to free money.
Free money, man. Free money. Obviously, gamble at your own risk, guys, but we appreciate Better. We appreciate all our sponsors. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. You're the best. Minnesota Timberwolves fans are the best. We'll get through this, guys. We'll get through it together. This is a therapy session. We're all on here together, man. And until next time, as always, go Wolves.
Go Wolves.
Wolves.